Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, KKR FS Income Trust Select just filed an 8K about a dividend payment, and I'm looking at what this tells us about their shareholder returns. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. This filing details a regular dividend payout, which is key for income focused investors, but we need to see what's really driving these payments. Alright, so what we have here is a standard current report. An 8K filing, this usually means something important has happened that the company needs to tell investors about right away. In this case, the big news is about a dividend. So, the Board of Trustees for KKR FS Income Trust Select met on the 30th of April and decided to declare a monthly dividend. This dividend is set at $0.175 for each share that people own. This payment is expected around the 26th of June, and to get this dividend, you needed to be on the books as a shareholder by the end of the day on May 29th. Now for the shareholders, there is an option. You can either get this dividend money as cash right into your bank account, or if you are part of their distribution reinvestment plan, the company can actually use that dividend money to buy more shares of the company for you automatically. This is a common feature for income trusts and funds that want to make it super easy for investors to keep growing their stake without having to do anything extra. It's a way to compound your returns over time. Thinking about this dividend, $0.175 per S-share might sound small, but let's put it in perspective. If you own 100 shares, that is $17.5 for that month. If you own 1,000 shares, that is $175 over a year. That adds up. For a trust like this, which is probably focused on generating income for its investors, this kind of regular payout is pretty much the main event. It tells us they are continuing to distribute profits generated from their investments back to the folks who have invested in them. Now, what is really important to understand with dividends, especially from an income trust, is where that money is actually coming from. Is it from stable, recurring income streams like interest payments from loans or rental income from properties, or is it from selling off assets, which would be a one-time thing and not sustainable? This filing doesn't go into that detail, of course. But it is the critical question for any investor receiving these payments. This 8K just announces the dividend itself, so to get the full picture on the sustainability of these dividends, you'd need to look at their more detailed financial reports, like a quarterly or annual filing, which would show their income generation and expenses. What this consistent dividend declaration indicates is that the company is likely performing steadily enough to provide these payouts. For KKR FS Income Trust Select, this sounds like it is operating as intended for its investors, focusing on generating and distributing income. If this were a different type of company, say a tech startup, a dividend might be unexpected. But for an income-focused entity, it is a core part of its business model. It's also worth noting that dividend policies can change. A company might increase a dividend if it's doing really well, keep it steady if things are stable, or cut it if it's facing financial troubles. Since this is a monthly dividend, the pattern of these payments can give us clues about the company's short-term financial health. This filing just confirms the April declaration, so we'd need to see future filings to track any changes. The fact that they offer a distribution reinvestment plan or DRIP is also a positive for long-term investors, as it allows for compounding growth. Instead of having to manually reinvest your dividend income, the plan does it for you, often at a slight discount or without transaction fees. This can significantly boost your total returns over many years. Looking at the bigger picture for KKR FS Income Trust Select, these regular dividend announcements are the bread and butter. They are designed to provide a steady income stream. The amount $0.175 per S-share is the specific figure for this period. We would compare this to previous periods to see if it's growing, shrinking, or staying consistent. Without that historical data in this specific filing, we can only say that today they are confirming a specific payout amount. Finally, towards the end, we see they've included an exhibit, the cover page interactive data file. This is basically a standardized way using something called inline XBRL to present the filing's key information in a machine-readable format. It's not really juicy content for us to analyze in terms of strategy or financials, but it's important for regulatory compliance and for financial data aggregators to pull information easily. It's like a digital tag that helps computers understand the filing much faster. So, what is my take on this for KKR FS Income Trust Select? This 8K is a straightforward announcement of a predictable event, a dividend payout. It signals that the trust is functioning as designed, returning capital to its shareholders. The key for investors is to look beyond just the announcement of the dividend itself and dive into the underlying financials of the trust to understand the quality and sustainability of the income streams that are making these dividends possible, without that deeper dive into their financial health. This is just a snapshot of 1 month's distribution. That is my take. Stay decoded. If you found this breakdown helpful, please like, subscribe, and join our Discord community linked in the description.